Tassa Bhagavato Arhato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arhato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arhato Samma Sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu. So today we are going to take a sutta which is a little long, but it has a lot of information about the practice. It starts out with Buddha explaining the wrong practice that a sect at the time, which was called Niganthas, were practicing. So this sutta is Majjhima Nikaya 101, Devadaha Sutta. So I'll share the link. This is the basic text I am using. So if you want to follow, what I will do is that I will reduce certain portions by reducing the repetitions, and certain portions I'll maybe summarize what is being explained. Initially, we will kind of go slow, but then we can pick up pace. So there is a lot of information which is there in this sutta, which you can follow. The link has been shared in the chat, so you will be able to follow the sutta. So I'll just start. So this is Devadaha Sutta. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living in Sakyan country at a town of the Sakyans named Devadaha. There the Blessed One addressed the students thus, students, Venerable Sir, they replied. So I'll change the word bhikkhus to students as Bhante Vimalramsi used to do. The Blessed One said this, students, there are some recluses and Brahmins who hold such a doctrine and view as this. Whatever this person feels, whether pleasure or pain, or neither pain nor pleasure, all that is caused by what was done in the past. So now the Buddha is explaining that there is a certain point of view where they believe that whatever you are experiencing in the present was because of the past experience. So what you have done in the past, that is your experience in the present. So there is no possibility of a change in the present, because whatever you experience is experiencing. So this is very fatalistic, that everything has been determined in the past, what has happened, and now in the present, what would happen is just what is happening in the past. So that is the concept they have. So by annihilating with asceticism past actions and by doing no fresh actions, there will be no consequences in the future. So if they believe that whatever is experienced over here is experienced from the past, so if you have done something in the past, you experience the pain now only. And then when you have experienced the pain, you have neutralized whatever wrong actions you have done in the past. And thus, there will not be anything in the future. With no consequence in the future, there is no destruction of action. With the destruction of action, there is the destruction. So there is a destruction of action. With the destruction of action, action is the karma. So karma or karma means the action which you are doing. Then there is vipaka and there is phala. Vipaka is the intervening period. Phala is the result which you experience. There is the destruction of suffering. With the destruction of suffering, there is a destruction of feeling. With the destruction of feeling, all suffering will be exhausted. So the destruction of feeling means that whenever there is a feeling, there is a pleasure, painful, or neither pain nor pleasurable feeling which arises. So, but that is happening all the time. So at any contact, when we are learning about dependent origination, we learn that this happens with all kind of our contacts which happen through all the senses, six sense doors. I go to the Niganthas who speak thus and I say, friend Niganthas, is it true that you hold such a doctrine and view as this? If when they are asked and the Niganthas admit this, say, yes, I say to them, but friends, do you know that you existed in the past, that it is untrue to say that you did not exist? So the Buddha is asking that in the now, do you know that you are in the past? You were born in the past, you were existing in the past. And they said no, because they have not developed any kind of a psychic abilities or an ability to see in the past life. So they don't have any idea about how, if they were alive in the past or not. But friends, do you know that you did evil actions in the past and did not abstain from them? So Buddha is asking again about the past, saying that, do you know that, have you done any evil actions in the past? They said, no, we don't know. But friends, do you know what that so much suffering has already been exhausted, or that so much suffering is still to be exhausted, or that when so much suffering has been exhausted, all sufferings will have been exhausted? No, friend. So they don't know the volume of the suffering they have already exhausted, the volume of suffering that is remaining, and after a point when the whole of the suffering will be totally exhausted. So this is a concept, it is there in the modern times in India also, in certain meditation practices, where they believe that whatever you experience now is a burning off of the karma. And after burning off of the remaining, they kind of vision is that you have a kind of heap of karma is there, like a heap of wood is there, say, and that heap of wood is burnt. And after the all this wood has been burned, then there is nothing remaining. So that is the concept which is there, and that is the Buddha will refute those things, and they will give his own logic about how those things cannot be correct. But friends, do you know what the abandoning of unwholesome state is, and what the cultivation of a wholesome states is here and now? So the Buddha is asking that here and now, what is the wholesome thing which you can do? So like we can see that in Majjhima Nikaya 19, the Buddha is talking about the wholesome and the unwholesome, and how he can shift from when he's in unwholesome, he can basically do the 6R or the right effort and let that go and come to the wholesome. So the Buddha is asking, do you know that how what is unwholesome, what is wholesome, and how these states can be developed? They said, no, friend. So the Buddha is saying that you do not know all those things about the past. Okay. That being so, it is not fitting for the Venerable Niganthas to declare whatever that this person feels, whether pleasure or pain, or neither painful nor pleasure, all that is caused by what has been done in the past. And by annihilating with ascetic practices, past actions, and by doing no fresh action, there will be no consequence in the future. So he said, what you have, the concept that you have to burn everything what has been done in the past, in the present, is not valid, because you are not aware of the past. You have no idea of the past. No, you have no idea of the quantum of the suffering which you are having, quantum of suffering which you have given up, and the remaining effort which is required to be done. So there's a commentary over here. They say that Buddha is mentioning that Niganthas have the wrong view in believing no karmas, and that they only exist once. So that I am not sure the Buddha is asserting that, but the commentary may be kind of saying that they are not believing in the action and the result, but they just believe in the action and the result as an automatic process. So there is an action which happens and the result happens as pain. And this pain, you can generate the pain and burn it, or the pain comes on because of the causes and conditions. So that is the concept which they are trying to say. Buddha says, if friend Niganthas, you knew about those things which are happening in the past, then what that being so, that then you can say that what you are saying is correct. But as you do not know, then that is not correct. Friend Niganthas, suppose a man were wounded by an arrow. So the Buddha is giving an example over here. The Buddha is saying, sir, somebody has been wounded with an arrow. Okay. So this person gets wounded with an arrow which had some poison in it. So what happens is his friends and relatives come and take him to a surgeon. The surgeon, what they'll do is they have a painful procedure at that time of the Buddha, where they would have taken out the arrow. They would have probed and taken out all the flesh where the poison was there. They would have burned that wound and then put the healing medicine and then wrap the wound. Burning of the wound is a procedure which is done, if you watch war movies or something like that, what they do is they remove a bullet and they take out the gunpowder and they put it in the wound and they burn it. This is done so the infection, whatever is there, is burnt up, and the poisonous whatever activity is there is not kind of going into another part of the body. So that is a very painful process. So the person experiences a lot of pain in this process. And then what happens is there is a healing process which happens. Healing process happens, and then he's all right, and he can travel, and he can walk, and he is all right. So, but Buddha says that this person will know what is pain and what is the healing. As you do not know what was the pain in the past and what is the healing, you have no idea of the whole cycle which is happening over here. So the example which is the Buddha is giving is about knowing for yourself here and now. By knowing here and now, you will be able to know what is happening and what is not happening. So if you know all these things, then it would be all right for your assertion which they are making. When this was said, the Niganthas told me, friend, the Nigantha Nathaputta is omnipresent, omniscient, and all-seeing, and claims to have complete knowledge and vision. Thus, whether I am walking or standing or sleeping or awake, knowledge and vision are constantly and uninterruptedly present in me. So their guru or their leader is saying that they have some ability where at any time they are awake or sleep, they know everything what is happening, omniscient. But Buddha refuted that claim that there is an omniscience possible. Buddha said that I can also see whatever is to be seen. I can gain knowledge for whatever it has to be gained now, but I have to direct my mind towards it. Say like you are learning, some people are very good at learning, but what they can do is they can put their attention on learning, say, guitar, and they can maybe in a week or something learn guitar, or they may put their attention on learning, say, scuba diving, and then they can learn. So they can put that. So Buddha says that I also have the ability to see, but this ability is I have to direct my mind. It is there mentioned in the other sutta. So the Buddha is basically refuting that that is a possibility of a person. He then this Nigantha says, he says thus, Niganthas, you have done evil actions in the past, exhaust them with the performance of piercing austerities. And when you are here and now restrained by body, speech, and mind, that is doing no evil actions for the future. So by annihilating with ascetic practices, past actions, and by doing no fresh actions, there will be no consequences in the future. With no consequences in the future, then all suffering will be exhausted. We approve and accept this, and so we are satisfied. So they said that Buddha, they said because my teacher is saying this, we approve what the teacher is saying. That is the reason we are doing our ascetic practices. They don't know for themselves. And one other thing which I think Ajahn Tanisaro is pointing out in his commentaries on the sutta is that this happens in India still till date. That the end of this practice is you have to fast until death. That is the ending of all the karma. So the one other thing is that you don't know if this works or not, because when a person in their system will fast until death, he has died. So he's not able to kind of confirm that all his bad karma has been exhausted and he has been awakened or has become an arahant. So there is no possibility of that information or confirmation. So that is what the Buddha is saying, that you are taking this on faith. When that was said, I told the Niganthas, there are 5 things, friends, Niganthas, that may turn out in 2 different ways here and now. What 5? So these are 5 things are there, he says, that can become wrong, or you may realize that they are not correct. And this is very good information for generally for everything which we are doing in our life. These 5 things are to be understood. One is faith. Faith is also translated as a conviction. Another way of translating faith is confidence. So when you have confidence, conviction, faith in certain things, that faith can get opposite. It can turn around. Say you had a faith in, say, your cricket team, or your maybe your teacher, or anything like that. But when the new facts come up, or their performance does not match your expectation, then your faith will turn. So that is the thing, that here and now your faith can turn. Approval. Approval is that you approve of something, or you are approved by somebody. That approval which is there can also turn otherwise. Oral tradition. So oral tradition is something like a teacher says something, the student accepts that, then their students accept that, and then their students accept that. That is their fully oral tradition is there. The oral tradition, their basis is that that is what was said. So at one point of time, I was just researching certain things, and then I found out that there are many religions which are based on books. So they say that this book is there. So there is a lot of people had converted from this religion to that religion. The only thing they said was this book was better than this book. That is the only thing they said, that this book is better, this book is practical, this book has more relevant information. But that is what, but they are both believing in a book. So that is what he's saying, that oral tradition, that you believe in whatever has been said in the past. Reasoned cognition. So reasoned cognition is also something which can turn out to be wrong. So like the reason cognition, I normally give this example because that's something I was to kind of think about, is the boiling of water. See, if somebody boils the water at sea level, he boils the water, and he sees that the water, when he is boiling, it goes from 80 degrees to 90 degrees. Then it goes to 91 degrees, 92 degrees. So logically, you can say that it will keep on going 200 degrees, 200 degrees, 300 degrees. But that logic will not be valid, because what will happen is, after water reaching 100 degrees, it will stop. At that point of time, it will stop going up. Now, by this, they can logically say that water boils at 100 degrees. That is a logical statement which is there. But say if that person goes to a mountain and boils the water, then he says that the water does not reach 100 degrees. This logic again can turn. So when the water is there at in a mountain in a height, it will boil according to that height of the mountain. So it is so precise that the British who were exploring Indian mountains, they used the boiling method to find the height of the mountains, and that they reach it with the satellites, and they were off by few feet or meters only. So that way can be very accurate. So now this logic cannot happen. You have to see in practical and see how it is working. So that those things can also turn. So faith can turn, approval can turn, oral tradition can turn, reason, cognition can also turn. And then the reflective acceptance of view. So reflective acceptance of view is, you are presented with a concept. Okay, all swans are white. And that is because you can go anywhere to any of the parks in London and see that the swans are white. And you can go to another country, go to France, and see the swans over there in all of Europe is white. So that is the reason is that all swans are white. But that can turn when you go to Australia, and then you find that there are black swans over there. So that also, by reasoned acceptance also, those things can also turn. So you have to be very careful when you are dealing with in life, all those things. So what are the things? They are the faith, approval, oral tradition, reason, cognition, reflective acceptance of a view. So all of those things can turn away. So these five things may turn out in two different ways, here and now. Herein, what kind of faith do Venerable Niganthas have in the teacher who speaks about the past? What kind of approval, what kind of oral tradition, what kind of reasoned cognition, what kind of reflective acceptance of you? Thus, students, I do not see any legitimate defense of their position by the Niganthas. Why he does not see any legitimate defense is, he sees that everything is based on hearsay or faith, not on the personal experience. How the Buddha is teaching his technique is, when you sit, you know If you have a distraction, you know there's a distraction. When you are on the object of meditation, you know on the object of meditation. So here and now, you know what is happening. So that is the difference in the Buddha's teaching. Again, students, I said to the Niganthas, what do you think, friend Nigantha, when there is an intense exertion, intense striving, do you then feel painful, racking, piercing feeling due to intense exertion? But when there is no intense exertion, no intense striving, do you then not feel any painful, racking, piercing feeling due to intense exertion? So he said, yes, that when I am standing on one feet, that is one of the ascetic practices, they feel pain because that is an intense exertion is there. They feel. But when they sit down after the practice, that pain does not remain. That pain goes away. So when they are doing the practice of asceticism or keeping one hand up, there's a lot of, there is one, I think, very famous ascetic over here in India who just keeps his hands up and his hand got frozen like this. And that is his ascetic practice. So will that give him pain? Yes, definitely it will give him pain. But if he had to put his hand down, then that pain would stop eventually, basically. So what does that mean? That this action which you are doing is causing the pain. So that is what the Buddha will clarify. So it seems, friend Niganthas, that when there is an intense exertion, you feel painful due to the intense exertion. But when there is no intense exertion, you do not feel any painful feeling due to intense not being intention exertion. That being so, it is not fitting for the Venerable Niganthas to declare that whatever the person feels is feeling because of the past. So he cannot say that all that he is feeling currently is because of the past karma. So if sometimes Buddha is talking about in another sutta, Buddha is talking about the health. So you are feeling ill. So what are the reasons for the, so he gives around 10 reasons, but according to Buddha's time, what he's talking about, the winds are there. There are upgoing winds, there are downgoing winds, there are sidegoing winds. Then there is a imbalance in certain elements in the body. There's imbalance in fire, there's imbalance in water, there is imbalances in air. So all those imbalances also cause pain in the and illness. And out of the 10 reasons, one is karma. So there can be pain, but there can be 9 other reasons other than karma for the body to be in pain. And one of those reasons can be you not sitting correctly in a correct posture, or when you are meditating also, you sit because of the tradition. Some people try to sit in the ground, but they can easily sit in a chair and be comfortable. That's the reason Bhante used to say that there is no magic in the ground. So when you are in the ground, there is nothing additional you are able to gain. So you sit comfortably and you can do your practice. So this is also one reason the Buddha is saying that how you are sitting, you have to see that that is not causing you pain. So if, friend Niganthas, when there was intense exertion, intense striving, then painful feeling due to intense exertion were present. And when there was no intense exertion, no intense striving, then painful feeling due to intense exertion was still present. That being so, it would be fitting for the Venerable to declare. So the Buddha is saying that if you are standing on one leg and you are painful, and then you are standing comfortably or sitting down, and then still you are feeling that same pain, then you can say that this pain is because of the past. Because the change of posture will bring in the change in pain, then you cannot say that all pain which is happening currently is happening because of the past. So there is a balance because happening in the present. So there is a past thing which also can come up. There may be a headache, which is maybe something karmic. Okay, that may come up. There are 10 reasons for having illness. When one of the reasons is karmic. So you get a headache and that is karmic. So at that present time, there are two ways you can do that. You can resist that pain. When you resist that pain, you cause yourself dukkha. You can accept it. You can relax it. You can send it metta. And then you can be in balance with that pain. But still, there is certain things we can do in that situation when there is pain arising in the body. So it is not that all pain which is there will be only from the past. But since, friend Nigantha, when there is intense exertion, intense striving, then there is painful. But there is no intense exertion, there is no pain. Uh, so self-imposed exertion, and it is through ignorance, no, unknowing, and delusion that you mistakenly hold the view. So he said that this exertion which you are doing, this effort which you are doing this effort because of ignorance, because you don't know the reality. And that is how the Buddha's teaching of dependent origination also starts with ignorance. Avidya pachaya sankhara, sankhara pachaya vijnana. So that is what happens, that when there is ignorance, there is a there are the sankharas are there, or the actions which are there by body, speech, and mind is possible. Then what happens is consciousness is possible. Then body and mind is possible. So all those things start with the ignorance. So that is how this process is working. Then the Buddha is saying against students, I said to the Nigantha, what do you think, friend Nigantha? Is it possible that an action whose result is to be experienced here and now can, through exertion and striving, become one whose result is to be experienced in the next life? So the Buddha is saying he's giving a list of reasons. Okay, over here, the Buddha is giving all the list of reasons of how the action which is done now cannot affect what is the result. So they agree that, okay, when I am doing certain things now, what I have done in the past, which I had to experience now, will be postponed into the future, into the next life. And in different ways, the Buddha is asking the same question. There are 10 questions which the Buddha asks, but the underlying thing which the Buddha is trying to say is that whatever you are doing currently cannot change your karmic results. It cannot delay it, or it cannot change it or alter it, because the karmic results are to be experienced when the causes and conditions are right. And that can also be avoided by your skillful actions in the present. As you are doing the right effort, you are doing 6 hours, you are recognizing what your attention is there. You release it, relax, resmiles, and return back to whatever you are doing. So that action itself can ensure that your whatever is your karma, or whatever is your actions which is happening, your situation which is there, you can have certain amount of control over the present. So that does not mean that everything which is happening in the present is because of the past. So there are different questions he's asking. I'm not going through this questions again, because they are the same logic. But it is possible that an action whose result is not to be experienced can, through exertion and striving, become one whose result is to be experienced. No, friend. So that so it seems, Nigantha, that is, it is impossible for that an action whose result has to be experienced here and now can, through an exertion striving, become result to be experienced in the next life. So that is what the Buddha is again saying. That being so, Venerable Nigantha, exertion is fruitless. Their striving is fruitless. So the Buddha is saying that basically tap, which we say in India, that by doing tap, you cannot exhaust what has happened in the past. You have to develop your mind's understanding. That is what the practice of the Buddha is there. That when you are doing meditation, you are developing your understanding of how your mind is getting involved with the unwholesome, how you can let go of the unwholesome and come to the wholesome. So that is a continuous process of understanding only that, but just by causing yourself pain, you will not be able to gain your understanding. So then the Buddha is giving some logic about how this concept cannot be valid. So I'll read one. If the pleasure and pain that beings feel were caused by what was done in the past, then the Nigantha surely must have done bad deed in the past, since they now feel such painful, racking, piercing feelings. So the Buddha is saying that if there is just the pain, whatever you feel now is based on the past, then whatever the Niganthas may have done a lot of bad things, because when they are doing the tapasya, they are feeling a lot of pain. So that is not correct, no, a way of thinking. That how, when you are thinking that there is a pain is a result of bad deeds in the past, then what you are feeling a pain now, then you must have done bad deeds, but that is not a correct way of thinking. If the pleasure and pain that beings feel are caused by creative act of Supreme God, then Niganthas surely must have been created by an evil Supreme God, since they now feel such painful, racking, piercing feelings. So, if we think that it is a God or a being which is giving us pain and pleasure, so Niganthas are feeling a lot of pain because of their actions. So that means that the God which is there is evil, because he is giving the pains to the Niganthas. But the pain is caused by their own actions in the current scenario. That one scenario is, if they stand on one leg, they will feel a lot of pain. So they cannot blame some God for that, because their action is standing on the feet. That is the reason that pain is there. So in that sense, he gives another, all this, he gives 10 different logics again. So I'm not going through all the logics because it will be a very long sutta. So in this way, the Buddha is saying that whatever way you see this, the present actions, you have to be very clear about what your present actions are there. He strives with determination in regard to a. So now the Buddha is talking about how he is teaching. So this is very important for us. And how is exertion fruitful, students? How is striving fruitful? Here, students, a student is not overwhelmed by suffering and does not overwhelm himself with suffering. So he does not get overwhelmed by suffering. Means when he is there in meditation, there may be meditation pain. So he's not overwhelmed by this suffering, or does not overwhelm himself with suffering. Means he does not cause himself suffering deliberately. That is like by sitting in a posture which causes him pain. So one way the Bhante used to say is, when you have pain in the meditation, you see, if sitting, when you get up, that pain goes away immediately. That means that is a meditation pain. But say when you are getting up, then pain stays. Then that can be because of the way you are sitting. So then you change your posture and sit in a way that does not cause you pain. And he does not give up the pleasure that accords to Dhamma. So that pleasures accords to Dhamma is the pleasures which you get in the jhana states. So he said, don't be afraid of the pleasures which you are feeling in the jhanas also. So when you are feeling pleasurable, it does not mean that it is something bad is going on. That also is a good thing. So when you are experiencing nice feelings because of the jhanic states, that is also a good thing. You should not worry about that. Yet he is not infatuated with that pleasure. So you don't get attracted to that pleasure also. He knows thus, when I strive with determination, this particular source of suffering fades away in me because of the determined striving. So that means that in a way, when I am doing a meditation, it may be painful. But by doing that meditation, and by doing that meditation, that pain subsides and my unwholesome states of mind go away. Then he will do that meditation. That is when there is a meditation pain, when you are doing, you are in meditation and there is a meditation pain going on. And then what you happen is you just stay with that pain. You 6 hours, you relax, you kind of come back to your object of meditation and you keep doing that. And that by doing that, that pain goes away. So you endure that pain to understand that this impermanence of this pain. So, to understand the impersonality of this pain. And by doing that, you let that pain go. So when I strive with determination, this particular source of suffering fades away in me because of that determined striving. And when I look on with equanimity, this particular source of suffering fades away in me by I develop equanimity. So one other way of it is that when you are doing the practice, there is painful feeling, but you look on the painful feeling with equanimity. You do not pay attention to it, and then you continue with your object of meditation. And at one point of time, that painful feeling fades away. So that is how you are in balance with what is arising and what is passing away, and you are in a correct understanding of what is happening in the present. He strives with determination in regard to that particular source of suffering which fades away in him because of that determined striving. So because he understands that what he does currently can let go of that unwholesome state, that is the reason he will do that practice, not just for the pain, but because going through that pain, he can learn about the reality of the moment and let go of the pain. And he develops equanimity in regard to that particular source of suffering, which fades away in him while he is developing equanimity. When he strives with determined, such and such source of suffering fades away in him because of the determined striving. Thus, suffering is exhausted in him. So, when he gains understanding that by doing this part or by practicing in this way, he can let go of the suffering. That is how he gains understanding. When he looks on with equanimity, such and such source of suffering fades away in him while he develops equanimity. Thus, that suffering is exhausted in him. So he says that when I am in equanimity, I have such and such feelings which are there, and such troubles or such and such issues which are arising are fading away. Then he beings in equanimity. So he understands what is happening currently and lets go. Suppose, students, a man loved a woman with his mind bound to her by intense desire and passion. So this is one other example the Buddha is giving. Say one person is loving and another human being. That human being who is there, the other person is there, he or she is talking with somebody else and they are laughing and having a nice time. So what would happen is the person who is in love with the person, say A, is very much in pain because that person A is going around with the person B. But he is in love with that person. So what he does is he tries to understand what is happening currently. Oh, I am so painful, in a painful state of mind. I am, because the person I love is now enjoying herself or himself with some other person. So now what he does is he develops his mind and says that now the pain which is there, he goes into maybe meditation or one second, sorry. So the person may be going into meditation or going into contemplation and then realizes that, oh, wait a minute, why am I suffering over here? I am suffering over here because I am attached to that person. Because of my feeling to that person, I am attached and this suffering I am causing. So what he does is he lets go of his attachment for that person. So he says that I no longer have attachment to the person A. So next time that same person is walking or going into a cafe and sees that same person A with enjoying the time or talking and laughing around with some other person. But now he does not feel any pain because that person, there is no attachment over there. So the pain and suffering which was caused was because of this attachment which was there. And certain times there is a resistance which is there. Resistance is that that person should not go to and speak with the other person. So that resistance is there. And that resistance is causing the dukkha. So Bhante Vemanamsi used to give a formula for the dukkha. So this is reality and this is you butting your head against the reality. And when you butt your head against the reality, then you cause yourself suffering. That is, the pain is inevitable. So if there is an arrow which is stuck in your leg, say, then the pain you cannot avoid, but you can avoid suffering by acceptance, being in equanimity and understanding the situation. And by doing that, you will be able to overcome that situation. I'll just again, students, a student considers this: while I live according to my pleasure, unwholesome states increase in me and wholesome states diminish. But when I exert myself in what is painful, unwholesome states diminish in me and wholesome states increase. So one other thing may happen is that certain times when you are doing certain things which are enjoyable, that can create problems. Like if you enjoy ice cream, say, and you eat a lot of ice cream, then what would happen is you can cause a tummy ache. So you know that cause and condition, that the cause of that tummy ache is having too much ice cream. Then what you do is, I will not have ice cream. You refrain from ice cream, but refraining from ice cream can be painful in the present. But in the future, what would is the benefit? That there will not be any tummy ache. Then in certain meditation things also, when you are getting attached to certain hindrances, thinking about this and that, thinking about vacation, say, when you are supposed to do sitting meditation, then because of that thinking, what happens is you are not able to do the meditation. But when you 6 hours that and come back to your object of meditation, it can be painful not to think about that pleasure which is there. Certain times planning for a vacation can be very pleasurable. You're just thinking about all the possibilities, all the different ways of doing things, and that can cause a lot of pain. So in the present, they realize that this is pleasurable, and but when I let it go, it may be painful. But by letting go of something which is painful, I'll avoid an unwholesome state of mind, like overeating of ice cream can cause tummy ache, and that is the reason I avoid eating ice cream. So that is how you understand. What if I exert myself in what is painful? He exerts himself in what is painful. When he does so, the unwholesome states diminish in him and wholesome states increase. At a later time, he does not exert himself in that what is painful. So then what the Buddha is saying, that at one point of time, he does not have to exert himself in what is painful, because he has understood this lesson. So next time he does not have to do the painful act of refusing, because the understanding has developed. And then if there is a ice cream offered to him, then he will have it in moderation. Or if there is a planning has to be done, he can do it before he's sitting in meditation or after he's sitting in meditation. But he can let go of those things, because after that he does not have to exert himself. What is that? The purpose of which that student exerted himself in what is painful has been achieved. That is why at a later time he does not exert himself in what is painful. So when the aim has been achieved, he lets go of that painful object also. Like in sitting meditation, certain time a painful feeling may arise, and at a time you sit there in pain and look at the resistance of the mind. You look at the aversion which you are feeling. Then you develop your mind of equanimity, and then you know that okay, this pain which is there is a thing which is impersonal. That pain goes away. Then you don't have to sit in a painful manner just to learn that lesson once again. Once that lesson has been learned, then you don't have to again do the painful practice. So that is what the Buddha is saying. Suppose student and arrowsmith were warming and heating a arrow shaft between two flames, making it straight and workable. So the Buddha is giving the example of, say, somebody is working with an arrow, and he puts that arrow in the fire, takes out, and then hammers it into straight line. Then again he puts into the fire, hammers it into the straight line. But say the arrow has become straight, then again he does not have to put it in the fire, because that purpose for that putting in the fire has been achieved. So in the same way, when the Buddha is teaching you the meditation, certain times it may be painful, but by going through this painful period and you learn the lesson of this painful meditation, then you don't have to again experience that painful experience once again. Then the Buddha is talking about his own awakening, that how he did his meditation, developed his mind and become awakened. Then the Buddha is talking about how a person goes into the jhanas. That is, we have taken many times in the other suttas also, MN 111. So he is talking about how he goes into the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, and then how he develops certain psychic abilities. So he develops the ability to see the past lives. So how he was there and how he died, and then how he was reborn, how he lived his life, how he died. So he goes on and on about his past life. And then he understands, he develops a divine eye, and he sees how other people have lived their life, they die and are reborn, and then how they live their life and again are reborn. So he can see other people's journey in the samsara. then he develops a third psychic ability or an ability to let go of all the attachments. So that is the destruction of the chains, which they say. So this destruction of the chains, there are chains are there. So there are 10 chains which are there, which are bounding us to the samsara. Then he kind of lets go of that. That is the fruition which he gets after his practice. So this is how the Buddha is doing. Then the Buddha is saying that because we are in pleasure when we are doing our jhanas or we are sitting in meditation, there are certain things which you can praise ourselves also. If pleasure and pain that being feel are caused by what has done in the past, then the Tathagata surely must have done good deeds in the past, since he now feels pleasurable feelings in the present. So the Buddha is again giving that same logic to the Niganthas, saying that if there was we are feeling a pleasure in the present and everything was done because of the past, then I am feeling present means then I must have done something good in the. So he is giving other, again he gives 10 different logics. So I'm not going through all the logics. So the Tathagata speaks students, and because the Tathagata speaks thus, there are these 10 legitimate grounds for praising him. That is what the Blessed One said. The students were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's word. So they were very happy with the teaching of the Buddha. So Buddha is teaching one very important fact is that the fatalism is not correct. If fatalism was correct, he says that there is no possibility of the Buddha rising or a awakening a possibility is not there, because whatever you have done in the past, you are experiencing the present. Whatever you do in the present, you experience in the past, and then there is no escape from that. But the Buddha says that when certain things arises in the present, you have a ability to recognize it, release it, and let it go. And then you can relax, smile, and come back. So smiling is bringing something wholesome. Letting go is letting go of the craving which is felt in the body. That is the relaxed step. And then smiling is the bringing of the wholesome step. And then coming back to your object of meditation, which is wholesome. So that process which is there, that is the way you can let go of what is coming up in the present, which may be from the past, but you are able to let go of that and be in the wholesome. So that is what the Buddha is saying, that that you are able to see the unwholesome in the present, let go of that. That is the 6R is also an implicit teaching in this sutta. So this sutta has a lot of information about how we can go wrong by thinking about those things which are fatalistic. And when we are thinking in fatalistic terms, then we can be in a practice which is unwholesome. So that is what the Buddha is saying, and the students are very satisfied. So if there are any questions regarding this, then we are open for questions now. Do anybody have questions about karma or the fatalism or any other? Yes?
Hello, Bhante.
Yes, Sachin, yes.
Bhante, just like I got one thought, like we may have done many past deeds, we may have done wrong deeds also. Can we say that by doing good karma in now and in future, can that past bad deeds can be negated?
Yes, one is that you can, but you cannot eliminate it. You can kind of water it down. And watering it down, the Buddha gives an example of water itself. So the Buddha says that, say, if I have this cup, okay, I have a cup, and then I have the water is filled to the brim, and I add a little bit, 1 teaspoon of salt into it. When I add 1 teaspoon of salt and I taste it, what would be the taste be? It would be salty. But say I take this teaspoon and add it to a lake and mix it and then taste the water of the lake. Would I feel salty? It will not be feeling salty, because you have the Buddha is saying that the water is like doing the good deeds. Salt is like doing the bad deeds. So if you are doing a very little good deeds, and you do bad deeds, then you feel that result more acutely. Say, but if you are doing a lot of good deeds and you do a little bit of bad deeds, then you don't experience that results in that same manner. So the Buddha is saying that you can mitigate that circumstances, but you cannot eliminate the process. The elimination of this process is only possible through understanding. And what is the understanding of right effort? Right effort is when something is arising in the present, which is unwholesome, you are able to siksar it. You are able to let go, relax, smile, and come back, and not get involved with the unwholesome thoughts. That is the only way to eliminate the process of this coming and going. You can mitigate the circumstances by doing good things. So you are doing good things is very good. But with the doing of the good, you have to also avoid doing bad. You don't add to what has already been a problem. So you do good, you avoid bad, but you do the third thing. Third thing is what? Develop your mind. That is the meditation. So the Buddha's whole teaching is encapsulated in what he's saying is that don't do bad, do good, and develop your mind. So the Buddha's teaching can be encapsulated in this. So that is what you're saying is correct. If yes, there are certain circumstances may have happened in the past, you can do good things and you have to do good things. And that is one of the part of the practice of doing good things. And then you have to also continue developing your mind. Because to end this process of the samsara, you have to develop the understanding of what is happening in the present. So that's the reason in one of the suttas, Majjhima Nikaya 38, I think so, the Buddha is saying that if you know thus, would you go into the past and say that was I there in the past, or was I not there in the past? What did I do in the past? What was there I in the past that I became now? So all these things you not think about. Then what was I in the future? What will I become in the future? By being what I become? What will be the future? What is there in the present? What am I? Am I there? Am I not there? All those questions which are there, philosophical questions, will not be there because you are able to see the reality as it is. If you are able to see the reality, you see that what you are doing bad, you see. You are seeing you are doing good, you see. And then you are able to decide where you want to tilt. You want to do good, you can let go of the bad thoughts. So certain times you have a fly which is bothering you. You don't squash the fly. You just let it fly away. You have to siksar that certain times. Because I am also very sensitive to my skin, if any kind of fly or bug, mosquito comes, I am really disturbed. But I have to just remind myself every time, let go and let go of that fly. So that is how you develop. And then, yes, doing good anytime is beneficial. So Buddha is saying that you give food to the animals, that is beneficial. If you give food to a normal person, it is beneficial. If you give to an ascetic who is not even following the Buddha's path, is beneficial. If you give to a Buddha's disciples, it is the most beneficial. If you give as a sangha, it is the most beneficial. You cannot compare also how much benefit you can gain from giving it to the sangha. So in that sense, he gives a gradation, but he says that even if you throw the food away, but you throw away the food with the mind state that whatever bugs are there or ants are there, may they consume this food. That also is beneficial. So giving is always beneficial.
I would like to just add here,
Yes.
like whatever the hindrances arising in the present moment and in the future, whatever maybe the hindrances arising, it is because of our past wrong actions. Can we say, Bhante?
No, we have to say that it can be from the past, it can be from the present also. So what you are doing
Past
in
and
the
present
present,
bad actions.
so the both are the so that is what the Buddha is saying, that both are responsible. So if you are somebody came to Bhante Vimalramsi and said that I am getting nightmares. So Bhante was kind of inquiring why you are getting. So said then he found out that in the conversation that she was watching horror movies. So the Bhante said that don't watch horror movies. She said, I like horror movies a lot. So then they stop complaining about the nightmares. So because she was watching horror movies, she was getting nightmares. So that present action, karma of watching horror movies, was giving the present nightmares. So the solution is to give up in the present certain things. So certain things which arise can arise from the past. Certain things can arise which is there in the present. So we have to be careful in how we respond. So that's the reason awareness, mindfulness is very important in the practice.
Truly, truly, Bhante.
Yeah.
Thanking you, Bhante. Thanking you all.
Okay, very good. Any other questions? Yeah. Hello.
Hello, Bhante.
Hello.
I have a question. Uh, I haven't framed it very well, but I'm thinking that so as a family member, like as a say as a partner, as a parent, so we can't influence the other person's karma, right?
Correct.
So, for example, the example where you gave of the A, B, C people, and the attachment, detachment to that. Uh, so while I'm attaching to A, but A is actually doing the bad karma, for example, right?
Mhm.
In that example. So, do I have no say or no, can I not sort of help A in understanding that?
You can help, but you cannot be responsible for that karma. So one example the Buddha is giving is that in one of the commentaries, there is one mention of a lady who was from a good family, but she fell in love with a hunter. So she went to the forest and started living with the hunter. But that lady was a Sotapanna. So she was a student of the Buddha. So some people came and complained to the Buddha that how can you say that she is a Sotapanna when she is a wife of the hunter, and she every day in the morning prepares the bows and puts the arrows in the quiver, and then gives them food and water for the hunt. So why? So the Buddha says that she is doing that as a part of the family, as a wife, as a duty of the wife. She is not responsible for the death of the animal because she is not doing that with the intention of having that animal killed. She's doing that from a duty of a wife, that she
Yeah,
is doing that action. So she is not responsible for that karmically. But she could say to them that, see, this is a profession which is a kind of harmful, and there can be a lot of harm in this profession. Like fisherman, profession of fisherman has been mentioned many times in the Buddha's teachings, because his primary aim is to kind of catch those fish, and those death of those fish is their livelihood. So they get a lot of bad karma. So the Buddha says that, but that does not mean that the fishing has stopped, or that it will continue, because somebody will definitely do it. That situation, she was not able to convince the family
okay.
and his husband to stop that hunting. But she did whatever action she did according to the her duties as a wife. So she was not responsible for the deaths of the animals. That is the reason he says that is, she has no bad karma because of that.
Right. So dukkha then intensifies when you're trying to do that. I mean, maybe convince A that don't do hunting, don't do fishing, for example.
Mhm.
But then the actions are not, I mean, they are not in acceptance. And then there is
Correct.
further dukkha because then, you feel that you are not, I mean, there is no change happening.
Dukkha is because of the attachment to the result. Dukkha is not because they are not doing what you are asking them to do, or not
Okay.
correcting. The dukkha is because of the attachment to the result. You should not. That is what there is a Gita verse is there, no, karman vasake. So that is
Yes.
that you do your karma, but don't worry about the results. So in
Right.
this sense, you have to do your karma, but don't be attached to the results. When you are attached to the result, that result attachment is giving the dukkha.
Got it. Got it. Okay. This is clear.
Any other question?
Thank you. Right.
Okay. Yes,
I,
anybody else? Yes.
um,
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
My question is about the use of the word karma, and when you say do karma or do bad karma, like using it as like karma as an action, like what does it mean to do your karma?
So doing bad karma means that there is an intention. Okay. Say there is a intention to kill an animal, say. Okay. So there is a chicken and you want to eat it. So you have an intention that I want to kill this chicken. With that intention, you take a weapon, that is a knife. With that knife, you execute that intention as you had intended. Then what would happen is that you have created a karma. And because that karma is unwholesome, that is a bad action. So now what may happen is, in the same situation, I had no intention to killing the chicken. I had a knife in my hand. Okay, I wanted to say cut a potato, and I maybe swung the knife to cut the potato, and the chicken came in between. This is a very unlikely situation, but just to illustrate this point. And then that chicken died. Then I am not responsible for that chicken. I may be responsible for being mindless over there, or not being mindful enough to know that the chicken was around and could get hurt. But my intention to swing that knife was not to kill the chicken, but to cut the potato. So that becomes not a unwholesome karma. So you have to be very careful about what the karma is, and that is the reason the Buddha is teaching it in a very step-by-step way. There is an intention. With that intention, there is an action taken. With that action, because of that action, that result is achieved. And that is when the karma action has happened. So you have to, and that is the reason certain times you take up guilt which is not yours. And then you can suffer because of that also. So you have to be careful about those things.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay. Any other questions? So this was an interesting sutta. So this is unlike many of the suttas, because Buddha does not spend a lot of suttas criticizing other practice or explaining about somebody else's practice. But Niganthas' practice, he took exception, because there was a very great acceptance of this concept of fatalism. And when you are fatalistic, then there is nothing, nothing what you can do in the present can change the consequence. So that is the currently the debate about free will. There is no free will. So they prove it in a lab experiments and everything. But when you are doing meditation, then you can know that the free will is there. Then you know that there is a recognition is there. There is no knowing that the changing of attention can happen. Moving away of attention can happen. And directing of your attention can happen. And when you know this, then you know that the present action is also possible. Your intervention is there, but your intervention is there when there is a mindfulness is there. Without mindfulness, what happens is this action keeps on doing. So then it is fatalistic. What has happened in the past will happen in the future. There are many people who are good, naturally good. They do charity. They are helpful. They may go to heaven at the end of their life. And then what would happen is, again, they are born in a good family. They are again good, like Bill Gates. There is no reason for Bill Gates to be the world's richest person, or the currently maybe the 10 most richest person. He does not have that intelligence or anything which you can see, But he's the richest person. But what he must have done something in the past which kind of gave him this money. But now what he's doing more charity. He is giving away billions of dollars in charity. He's some people don't think that, but I'm just giving as an example, not as a absolute Bill Gates, but I'm just giving you as a general example that, okay, he does a lot of charity. He gives a lot of money. He saves a lot of lives. He, I think, funded the vaccine for malaria. He funded the vaccine for the COVID. Maybe COVID, he saves 1,000 lives. And then because of that 1 billion he spent on the COVID vaccine, 1,000 people are alive now. And that what will be happen? He will go again to heaven. If a person goes to heaven, when he's reborn, he's born again in a good family. He has prosperity. Then again he may do good, and then he may be in the cycle. But he is not able to understand what is happening. At one point of time, he may do something wrong, and then that may take him down. But he has no understanding of the process. But when we are, the Buddha is teaching you, the Buddha is teaching you in a way that even what you do as a small thing like throwing away food, if you have an intention of having that food, whatever food you throw, maybe the animals, whatever are there, should consume that food, then that makes it into a charity, makes it into a dana. So that change of thinking, change of the way of understanding can happen because your intention and your actions in the present are very important. So the fatalistic view which is there can be avoided, and then you can put in your actions. And you know that your actions in the present are so important, then you will be more inclined to be mindful of what your actions are. Your thoughts are. Thoughts are the most important thing, because thoughts will lead to speech. Speech leads to action. So you are aware of your thoughts. You are letting go of the thoughts. Then you are in control of the speech. And when you are in control of the speech, you are in control of the actions. And that will create a wholesome cycle, which will propel you to the understanding and deepening of the knowing. And the deepening of the knowing and understanding is what makes the difference in the life. It is not just experiences in meditation, because many people in meditations are too much involved in the experiences they have. I experienced this much, and I have this experience and that experience, and I was able to see this and that, and I was able to go to this space. But those things are all temporary. They are all worldly. There are powers some people gain. They can hear what is happening in the conversation in another building, or hear something or see something which is happening in 1 mile. Like Sister Khema had that experience of able to see something which was happening a mile away, and hear what they're talking about very clearly, as if they're talking standing next to her. So all those experiences can be there, but those experiences are all worldly. Your understanding of wholesome, unwholesome, your ability to let go is the central part of the life. And when you kind of bring those things into your life and incorporate that thing in your life, that fatalism goes, that now you are in charge. It may be very difficult and painful time in your life currently, but that can change, because what you do in the present will affect your future. So you are not bound by your past, but you are bound by your present. So past does not determine you. The present action determines you. So that makes a difference. That makes a change. Okay. So there are any other questions? Okay, then if there are no other questions, then we can share the merits. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you,
Thanking you,
everybody, for
Bhante.
coming.
Thanking you all. Wishing all the
Thank-
happiness. Thank you.
Same to you.
Thank you.
And